Pháp dương vô thượng tôn, tam giới vô luân thập. Thiên nhân chi đạo, sư tử sanh chi từ phù. Nhất niệm quy năng diệt tam kỳ. Sướng dương nhược tán thán, ức kiếp mạt năng tầng.
Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. With the beginning of every lecture, we pay respect and homage to our great teacher, the Buddha. Today is truly a day of great blessing, for we gather here to learn in English from one of the great Mahayana Sutras, Kinh Kim Cang, or in English, the Diamond Sutra. There are a total of 6 lectures related to the Diamond Sutra made by the great master Đại sư Phap, who is the grand disciple of the 98th Zen Patriarch, Sư Tổ Thanh Tịnh Hải Tạng. He is part of the Zen lineage, which started from the first Patriarch, Ca Diếp, and through the 33rd Patriarch, Huệ Năng, and disseminated further down to have 5 branches. The first one being Quy Ngưỡng, the second is Lâm Tế, the third is Tạo Động, the fourth is Vân Môn, and the fifth is Pháp Nhãn. He belongs to the 5th branch of the Zen lineage, which is Pháp Nhãn or Fayan. The Diamond Sutra was made popular when the 32nd Patriarch, Hoàng Nhẫn, who was awakened by reading this sutra and used it as the source of transmitting the Zen wisdom to his successor, Huệ Năng. And that tradition continued onward to the present time. Before the 32nd Patriarch, the Lankavatara Sutra was used as the source of the transmission of the mind. The complete title of this sutra is the Diamond Prajna Paramita Sutra. Let me explain to you the meaning of each word in the title. The word sutra represents 3 different parts of Buddhist teaching. 1. The sutra contains the teaching of the Buddhas or the Bodhisattvas. 2. The sutra teaching do not change and are applicable over time. 3. The sutra teaching can help all beings of all worlds to be awakened, but their level of liberation is dependent on each being's capacity. Next, regarding the word diamond in the sutra title, it is a material that is very hard and sharp, and no other material can compare to it. The Buddha used the word diamond to symbolize the prajna wisdom that is inside every being. Prajna wisdom cannot be developed, but has always been in every being. It can help a practitioner to break down all delusion caused by ignorance, like ego and dharma biases, and generate self-attaining wisdom, vô sự trí. Next is the word prajna, which means supreme wisdom, composed of 6 meanings. 1. Vien ly, which means to be far removed from thought that are impure, ignorant, troublesome, and biased. 2. Min, which is the clarity in seeing the roots of all things. 3. Huệ, which is the wisdom to see clearly the impermanent character of all dharmas that exist in and out of this world. 4. Thanten, which is the pure wisdom that is not contaminated by the defilement of passion or worldly circumstances. 5. Taiji, which is the mind that is clear and not deluded. 6. Trí tuệ, which is the bright wisdom that is not bound by the senses through your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and thoughts. Now I will talk about the word paramita, which has two meanings. 1. Đáo bì ngạn, which is the prajna wisdom that can carry a person beyond the shore of life and death to the shore of nirvana, where bliss and tranquility exist. 2. Cứu kính viên mãn, which is a delivery of a being who was deluded to the shore of great enlightenment and bliss. I have just finished explaining each word of the title Diamond Paramita Sutra. Now I will talk about the 5 parts of the sutra. 1. Yan, or word, which is to explain the meaning of liberation and the idea that prajna wisdom has always existed in each being. 2. Tướng, or form, which say this sutra used the Mahayana principle as its guidelines. 3. Thể, or goal, which means the goal of this sutra is to help all beings to see the true form of the pure mind. 4. Dụng, or usage, which means this sutra can help to eliminate ignorance and suffering caused by ego and dharma biases, and help one reach enlightenment and nirvana. 5. Tôn chỉ, or directive, which is to use no attachment, no form, and no thought as its credo. This sutra came directly from the mouth of Sakyamuni Buddha and was eventually passed down and translated by Master of Tripitaka, Kumala. Master of Tripitaka is a person who is well versed in 3 collections of Buddhist canons, which are the sutras, precepts, and philosophical treatises. A monk who lectures on the sutras is called Phap. A monk who lectures on the Buddhist precepts and rules is called Lotsu. A monk who lectures on the Buddhist treatises is called Lotsu. It is someone who can clarify or explaining the sutra better than Phap. Now we start the reading from the sutra text. Thus I have heard. At that time, the Buddha was staying at Jelavana Park by Sravasti with 1250 great monks. One day, near break time, the Blessed One, enrobed, carrying his bowl, entered the great city of Sravasti. To beg for alms, he made his orderly way, stopping at each house, begging for alms, then returned to his retreat, ate his food, put away the bowl, washed his feet, arranged his place, and sat down quietly. A-di-đà Phật. After hearing this section, you all could probably imagine the scene of what has just been described, which occurred about 2500 years ago. This is a daily scene of his life, with the accompanied monks at that time, showing an image of liberation with no attachment. Sravasti was under the rule of King Prasanachi at that time. The Buddha was staying at Jetavana Park, which was donated to him by Anatta Pindika, who bought it from Prince Kida. Anatta Pindika built a retreat for the Buddha and his monks to stay and practice. The sutra mentioned that the Buddha was accompanied by 1250 great monks. Why did it not just say monks instead of great monks? The reason is that the word great monks represent monks who had attained arhathood. Today I will explain to you what it means to reach arhat level. There are 3 qualifications for an arhat in the sutra. 1. He has eliminated all trouble from his mind. 2. He is liberated and does not have to be reborn back to this world any further, unless out of compassion he wants to return to help all beings. 3. He is deserving of offerings from both gods and humans due to his achievements. The monks who follow the Buddha's teachings and practice the 4 Noble Truths and the 12 Nidanas can eliminate the 10 Gesu, or the 10 troubles, to become an arhat or Pratyeka Buddha. It is mentioned that there were 1250 great monks accompanying the Buddha. There were 2 brothers whose surname was Gayi, who brought about 1,000 of their own disciples to join them in following the Buddha. The other 250 monks were brought over by Buddha's disciples Sariputra and Moggallana when they themselves joined. When the Buddha brought up the Prajna Paramita, he wanted to let us know that in all beings' minds there exists the Diamond Prajna, a tool that can help a practitioner avoid ego and Dhamma biases, and help his mind to see things clearly, and anything that he done after that are within the realm of Buddha Dhammas. In contrast, those who have not achieved the wisdom of the Diamond Prajna, even if they have attained supernatural powers, those powers are just illusions belong to outsider religions. Even if they have reached deep meditative samadhi, they could only enjoy impure and mortal benefits of this world or the lower heavens. This sutra is very important. The 33rd patriarch, Huineng himself, was awakened after hearing this sutra, and afterward encouraged his student to recite it as part of their training. Now back to the sutra text. At that moment, Venerable Subhuti arose from the assembly, uncovered his right shoulder, knelt down on his knees, raised his hand with palms joined, and asked the Buddha, "World-honored one, the Tathagata is always mindful of all bodhisattvas and always protecting and guiding them. World-honored one, if good men and good women are inspired to study the Supreme Enlightenment, chánh đẳng chánh giác, how can they control their thoughts and settle in their pure minds?" A-di-đà Phật. The Buddha was pleased with the question and praised Subhuti for it. This question is very important because it starts the initial stage of the practice to enter the prajna wisdom and the true form of the pure mind. Who was Venerable Subhuti? He was one of the top 10 disciples of the Buddha and specialized in the empty mind practice. Today, we all are very fortunate to have a chance to hear this sutra, thanks in large part to Venerable Subhuti's questions. The Buddha's answer to those questions were very useful and helped many monks and laymen improve their practices and reach their goals. The two questions by Subhuti about how to control the thoughts and how to settle in the pure mind were very difficult to answer, but are very necessary for a successful path to liberation. Now listen to the Buddha's answer. The Buddha said, well done, Subhuti. Just like you have said, the Tathagata is always mindful of all bodhisattvas and always protecting and guiding them. Now listen well. Because of you, I will explain how good men and good women who are inspired to study the Supreme Enlightenment, how to abide in their pure mind, and how to control their thoughts. Before we hear the Buddha's answer, I want to say that if you want to control your thoughts, you must first inspire to have a Bodhi mind. A Bodhi mind is an awakened mind. It belongs to a person who is committed to attain the goals of Buddhahood. Even if that person has officially joined the Buddhist faith. But if he did not make a commitment to attain a Bodhi mind, then it will be very difficult to control his thoughts and settle in the pure mind. Continuing on with the sutra text. Subhuti, all the great bodhisattvas should liberate all living beings, whether born from eggs, from wombs, from moisture, from transformation, from beings with form, from beings without form, from being with thoughts, from being without thoughts, or from being beyond the realm of thoughts and no thoughts, so that they all can attain complete liberation, nirvana. Although innumerables are completely liberated, but so none has been liberated. Why is it so? If a bodhisattva still sees himself liberating and beings liberated, then he is still stuck on the four forms, which are ego, other humans, all beings, and lifespan. Then he is not a bodhisattva. This is one method that the Buddha introduced to practitioners who are committed to attain the Bodhi mind. In this great Heliocosm, there are 9 different types of beings, as described in the sutra. 1. The type that gives birth through eggs are birds, chickens, ducks, etc. 2. The type that gives birth through the wombs are humans, cows, dogs, etc. 3. The type that gives birth through a dampened area, moistures, are mosquitoes, bacteria, etc. 4. The type that gives birth through transformation are fireflies, gods, devas, and demons. 5. Beings that are born with form reside in the world of desires or in one of the lower heavens, sắc giới, which has a world of forms. Their forms are not clearly defined as ours. It is very fine that only a practitioner who has a quiet mind may be able to see it. 6. Beings that are born with no forms reside in the world of no form, vô sắc giới. They do not have physical bodies but exist through their minds or thoughts. Demons, ghosts, or those beings with bad karma belong in this world. 7. The 7th type belongs to beings that exist only in thoughts. Gods, devas, and saints are born here because they have good blessings. Hữu tưởng giới. 8. The eighth type belongs to those practitioners who have silenced their thoughts. So when they die, they went to this world of no thought. Our hearts are born here. Vô tưởng giới. 9. The ninth and last type are beings that are neither of thoughts or no thought. These are beings in the highest heaven, tứ thiền. They have almost completely eliminated their thoughts, but there are still remnants of thoughts left. So their thoughts appear and disappear. Phi tưởng, phi tưởng xứ. So if a bodhisattva wants to enter a world to help, he has to rescue all beings, but should not see himself as the rescuer or see the being as being rescued. This phrase is very powerful. Do you see that? If you initiated the thought of rescuing a being, then much stress would arise, because once you are born into a world, then the four sufferings, which are birth, old age, illness, and death, have already surfaced. Then you have to rescue a being, which is not an easy thing to do. If that being has good karmic connection with you, then he would listen. But if not, he would not listen, but sometimes fight back as well. Therefore, if you want to help and also think that you are helping, then you will see the troubles that follows your helping as well. This means that you are dependent on the forms or situation of these beings. If you get disappointed when a being did not accept or value your help, then you yourself are stuck on your ego. This is why the Buddha said, rescue all beings, but do not see any being rescued, which is similar to not seeing yourself as the rescuer. You must abandon your ego entity and the Dharma form. In your liberating path, you will see that there are many different methods, but the bottom line is to eliminate your ego and Dharma biases. When you want to help, you must let go of yourself, other humans, all beings, and lifespan biases in order to continually help and be a bodhisattva who does not give up. If not, the four biases will bring you down and back to the world. Now I will talk in details about these four forms. 1. What is an ego entity? When you talk to someone, you will use the word I. This is your ego entity. 2. When you consider the person who you are talking to as a human being, then that is human bias. 3. When you see the forms of all beings, then that is all beings bias. 4. When you accept that your life only lasts 100 years, then that biased opinion is the lifespan bias. A-di-đà Phật. So for a bodhisattva to re-enter the world to rescue all beings, if he still has these four biases, then he will fail and not be able to complete his vows. Now I will talk about nirvana. For a practitioner, if he removes all the stress, then his mind will return to a state of peacefulness. And if he continues to practice and stay in this course of peacefulness, then it will slowly lead to a state of complete bliss, which is similar to nirvana. There are four states of nirvana. 1. Tánh tịch Niết Bàn, which is depending on your effort in practice. Your pure mind leave behind all the worldly stress and settle into this nirvana. 2. Vô trụ xứ Niết Bàn, which is the type that our 33rd patriarch, Huệ Năng, attained. His mind was not attached to anything. 3. Hữu vi Niết Bàn, when a monk has perfectly quieted his mind, but still has to maintain his physical body in this world to help all beings, he has entered Hữu vi Niết Bàn, Nirvana. 4. Once he finishes his works and passes away, his body will return to the elements, but his quiet mind will merge with Vô ưu Niết Bàn. Now you are aware of the four states of Nirvana. Now back to the sutra text. Subhuti, a bodhisattva should be detached and not consider appearances in charitable acts. He should not consider sound, odor, taste, touch, and mental bias when practicing charity. Subhuti, a bodhisattva should practice like soul without discrimination. Why? If he practiced charity without attachment or discrimination, then his blessings are inexpressible. A-di-đà Phật. The Buddha was teaching the bodhisattvas that in charitable acts, he has to use the prajna wisdom and not be stuck on the four forms. Almost all beings living in this world, their six senses are stuck on the six worldly forms. Their vision are stuck on appearances, hearing stuck on sounds, smells stuck on odors, taste stuck on flavor, touch stuck on physical sensation, and thoughts stuck on mental biases. The Buddha taught us clearly on this matter. Charitable acts are not just about giving financial support. You can also do charity acts through giving good advice, giving mental and emotional support, or giving physical help. Do you see that you don't need money or special talent in order to help out? As long as there are pains and sufferings, you can come and help in any way you can without attachment. Then that is a great charitable act. These are the charitable acts that Quan Yin Bodhisattva are well known for, and which accounted for inexpressible merits, which I have lectured in the Suragama Sutra. Why did the Buddha teach the Bodhisattva not to be attached to the six senses when doing charitable acts? It is because if Bodhisattva practiced charity with discrimination, then he had brought a contaminated mind into the act. If you practice charity with the thought that if you help him now and in the future that person will pay you back, then that is a defiled mind. The charitable act that we talk about is giving everything. To give but without loss, giving unconditionally, then this charitable act is pure and inexpressible. It is nirvana giving, which matches the purity of a true bodhisattva. Giving with condition is giving with hope for payback. It belongs to a mind that is not quiet and contains troubled thoughts. It is a mind that still rises and falls. And yet you want to enter a world of bliss. Then how could you get there? This teaching is powerful. Therefore, when you do charitable act, do it with an empty mind, that it is unconditional, which will bear the fruit of nirvana and liberation. Do you see that? If you can do this, then you would have generated inexpressible blessings and built yourself a lotus seat in the world beyond. What does inexpressible blessing mean? How can one achieve it? An inexpressible blessing is one that can bring you up from being a commoner to a saint, from a saint to a bodhisattva, and from a bodhisattva to a Buddha. Besides this, all other charitable acts resulted in worldly blessing which has limitations. Back to the sutra text. The Buddha asked, Subhuti, what do you think? Is it possible to measure the emptiness in the east? Subhuti answered, Blessed One, no, I cannot. Subhuti, is it possible to measure the emptiness in the south, west, north, above, below, and the four corners? World-honored one, no, I cannot. Subhuti, if a bodhisattva who does charity without attachment to forms, then his merits are similar to the 10 directions of emptiness, immeasurable. Ayidaphat. The Buddha taught us clearly, if the emptiness cannot be expressed, and you use the empty mind, which is a mind without thoughts, completely quiet in charitable acts, then the resulting blessings are similar to emptiness, without limit and immeasurable. Subhuti, Bodhisattva should follow and practice what I have just instructed and settle in their pure minds. Ayidaphat. This reference back to the first two questions by Subhuti, which are how can they control their thoughts and settle in their pure mind. The first one regarding how to control their thought, in which the Buddha answer was to rescue all beings, to the extent that the rescuer and the rescued are not seen. That is the method to control the false thoughts. Isn't that amazing? It is a method where you are not attached to your ego and dharma biases, which means you have controlled your thoughts. Once these biases are no more, then your mind should be in a peaceful state, going from false thoughts to pure thoughts, which means your mind is now settled. The Buddha also recommends doing charitable acts as a way to control your thoughts and settle in your mind. Why did the Buddha use the word charity or bodhi instead of offering or cúng? You use the word charity to help people who suffer, who are at a level lower than you. You use the word offering to give to people who are above you, like your parents, grandparents, and masters. You have to clearly distinguish those two words. You cannot bring a gift to a temple and say that you donate to that monk. Saying so is not being respectful. You have to use the word correctly by saying that you are making an offering to that monk. While reading this section of the Diamond Sutra, Master Linji, founder of the Linji school of Zen Buddhism, realized the meaning of no attachment of the pure mind and the meaning of complete liberation in the Heart Sutra. And he wrote the following lines: no longer attached to the mind and forms, then I understood the meaning of no form. If you want to know the pure mind, there are the white clouds and blue sky. Ayidaphat. In those times when the Zen students asked about the meaning of Zen words, Then the reply from the teachers was that they raised up their two arms and said, blue sky, or blue sky, white clouds. This is to show that their minds are wide and empty, like the emptiness in the sky. Now we go to the section that talk about no bias on the Buddha forms. Subhuti, what do you think? By looking at my body, can you see the Tathagata? Well-honored one, cannot say that seeing thy body is seeing the Tathagata. Why? Because thou often said, seeing thy body is not truly seeing the Tathagata body. Ayudafa. This sentence is very meaningful. Why was it that the Tathagata was standing right there, and yet Subhuti said that he did not see the Tathagata's body? The word Tathagata means eternal, unchanged, does not come or go, etc. The Buddha's physical body is a form that changes over time and space. So Subhuti's answer was true to the meaning of the word Tathagata. His answer was that he did not see the Dhamma body of the Tathagata. You all are aware that the Tathagata has three bodies: reincarnated, transformed, and Dhamma bodies. The Buddha was asking about his reincarnated body, but Subhuti's answer referred to his Dhamma body. His practice focused on empty mind, so he thought the Buddha was asking him about the Dhamma body. So his answer that he did not see the Buddha's reincarnated body, although it was a roundabout answer, it was correct. If the Tathagata body can be changed by time, space, birth, illnesses, and death, then this is a form of a mortal being, not of a Tathagata. Isn't that correct? The Tathagata's body is represented by the Dhamma body, not a physical body. Back to the sutra text. Subhuti, whatever has form are all unreal. If you can recognize that they are not real, then you have seen the Tathagata. Ayudafa. Did you hear that? Similar to what I have just presented. You are all now in a body that is influenced by the five skandhas, which is a body that has birth and death. If you apply the birth and death biases to your mind, then you have a mistaken view. You have created false and delusional views. If you can actually see your pure mind, which has the prajna wisdom, then you have seen the mind of the Tathagata. This mind does not exist only within the Buddhas, but within all of you. But why do you not see it? It is because you have pain, suffering, and ignorant views. This Diamond Sutra helps you to abandon the deluded views and come back to the truth within you. On the path of Zen practices, when you lecture on a sutra, it should include both the forms and the reasonings. Relying on the external forms, a practitioner can realize the deep meaning inside, and vice versa. If one can realize the deep meaning inside, then one can clearly see the form outside. Therefore, between forms and reasoning, a practitioner must be able to use both. I once had a practitioner tell me a story. that there was a Zen monk who had his own monastery. It had an altar with the Buddha statues, where every day he made offerings and prayed. But 3 years later, he changed his mind and destroyed the altar, broke the statues, and dumped it outside. He cleared the main hall of everything and left it blank. He announced to all of his colleagues and followers that today he has seen the true form and no longer needed the statues and all other stuff he had been using. That practitioner asked me if what that monk did was right or wrong. I immediately told him wrong. A person who can see both sides would not act that way. Every one of you here, if you did not have the statue of the Buddhas, how could you find the inspiration and faith to continuously practice? If you don't see the glorious and honorary forms of the Buddha statue, then you would not see the forms, and it would be extremely difficult for you to realize the meaning. A-di-đà Phật. If you practice and destroy the outside form, then you did not see both sides and were stuck on emptiness. The 33rd patriarch, Fayan, once said, "A true practitioner entirely sees both sides of forms and reasonings. Both his words and his mind should have been mastered. If he could only lecture the 12 volumes of Mahayana Sutras like a parrot and receive applause from everyone, yet his mind was not achieved, then he is just an outsider, nothing to be praised. As a monk, if he is clean inside, then he should be clean outside as well. He is a model for both earthly and heavenly beings. He cannot just do and act as he pleases by saying he has achieved inside and does not care about the outside. That is wrong. Nam Mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.